up, Bopper Gang? Today we have the Justin Williams with us here. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Ashley.
Absolutely. I always love hanging out with you.
I love hanging out with you too. I'm so glad that we've become friends.
Me too. And I'm very excited to get into your upcoming show, Stage. Let's get into it. What was the inspiration behind Stage?
I guess the inspiration comes from a lot of different places, but I think it starts with just me being a songwriter and a musician myself, and I've spent a lot of time in the songwriter scene and music scene, and it's been very influential for me as an artist and as a creative, and kind of wanting to capture all the things that I think is really special about the music scene, and the kind of and the range and the variety, like kind of capturing the kind of the intimate, quiet moments that someone can have on stage, and then the kind of noisy, raucous energy that you get from going to a really good punk show, and kind of exploring all those facets and everything in between.
Definitely. And I feel like each scene is so different, but they're all tied together. So what events or shows did you pull inspiration from?
So I guess some of them come from when I was hosting Writers on the Round, and that was a lot of my initial inspiration, because I was kind of taking a lot of photos because of running the Instagram page. So I just had a lot of photos that I'd taken, and then just shows that I've gone to on my own. And I guess I don't think of myself as a photographer that much, but I always start with a reference, and I try to just take interesting scenes that compositionally, and I kind of started collecting photos that I liked and just like putting them into a folder in my phone of just like, okay, those are ones that I might eventually draw or paint, and kind of adding to those over time. And then yeah, does that answer? I don't know.
Definitely.
Yeah, okay.
No, and I feel like it is such a love letter to the Memphis music scene, and you have a background in music too. So what is your experience like in the Memphis music scene?
Yeah, so I guess right before the pandemic happened, I started going to Graham Winchester's song swap that was happening at DKDC and on Wednesday nights, and I went to a couple of those, and that was my first experience with a song swap, songwriter night, and I was like, I want to do that. I can write 5 songs, and so right after that, the pandemic started, and I was just kind of on lockdown for a while, and that made a lot of songs come out. And so I kind of emerged from when the lockdown, and I just wanted to try this songwriter thing out and start sharing my music with people. And then I ended up hosting the songwriter series, and just getting very involved in that, and kind of getting to know the booking side as well as the performing, and it was kind of like my teacher, if you will, of like how to be a musician and how to be in the music community and all those things that I feel like I didn't have before, and it was a way for me to like get connected with like lots of different people in the Memphis music scene. Yeah.
No, that's really cool. And I love that you're able to dive into both worlds, because being a multifaceted creative, sometimes it's like you go to one medium and then it's like, okay, now I have to go back to this other one, and it can be kind of disjointed. So how was that like for you to be able to blend like your music side and your art side? Like, did your music influence your art, or how did that go?
I mean, I think absolutely, like the music has influenced my art at the very least, like with the subject matter, and that I guess always been interested in portraits or doing capturing people, and I'm around a lot of musicians a lot, so it just made that just was a natural starting point for the subject that I was capturing. And I'm just such an audiophile anyway, so I'm always like listening to music while I'm painting, and I feel like that influences me in like really subtle ways that I maybe don't even always register. And um, I guess in the reverse, the way my art is kind of like changing how I'm thinking about my music is maybe how I package the music or the kind of visual aesthetic of that will I'll probably be experimenting more with next year when I kind of I've got some kind of projects that I want to work on music wise after I get the show over.
Yay. Was there a period or a point throughout this process where you wanted to give up? And if so, how did you overcome that?
I guess I wouldn't say that there was ever a point where I was just like, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to pursue it. I think there are definitely moments where it's just like, okay, I have like reached a point where I need a break. I need to take a step back. And I think I always try to do little check-ins when I'm feeling the overwhelm or like, what I try to be mindful and listen to what what's going on up here, and if I'm like doing too much like negative self-talk or something, um where's that coming from, and how can I take care of that so that I can be a happy artist. 'Cause, I don't subscribe to the notion that you have to like suffer for your art. I think art should be a joyful process. It should be something that like sets you free, and instead of like being something you're chained to. Um, that's how I feel about
Yeah,
it.
I agree. I feel like there's always this like not a stereotype, but there's this like preconceived notion of suffering for your art, and a lot of the time it's like, oh well, I have to push through these feelings because it's like I have to make something or I have to get something done, and this is how it's supposed to be because you're supposed to struggle, and like letting go of that ideology has been really freeing.
Yeah, I think um, it's part of just our. I think it's an American mindset, and maybe just it's a cliche that I think people feel like they have to buy into. And um, I was having a conversation with someone the other day that was like, "Oh, I stopped writing songs because I'm not like sad anymore," and and I I I understand where that's coming from, but I think that that's kind of limits artists and are creative, like, and we should be able to do stuff with all kinds of moods and emotions, and it doesn't. I mean, sadness is certainly like really, there's a lot of when we're sad, we're paying attention to ourselves in a really deliberate kind of way. But we should also pay attention to the good stuff too, and that is also material that we can make art and music out of, and that we need that as much as we need like the anger and the sadness.
Yeah. This is kind of unrelated, but Charlie XCX on the Brat album, she did a song called Everything is Romantic.
Mhm.
And yeah, it was just so beautiful. And she was just describing the environment she was in. And then after the album came out, she made a video and posted clips of her vacation that she was on while she wrote the song. And I
Mhm.
think she was like in Italy or something, but she was just like obviously so happy and like living her
Uh-huh.
best
Uh-huh.
life.
Mhm.
And that was just so cool to see like the direct impact of her choosing like happiness and peace and whatever, and like being inspired by that into the art, because I mean I am so inspired by that song and her career. So yeah, I definitely think that just paying attention to your emotions is key to any sort of depth in your art. But a lot of the time, I do feel like the negative is, what we attach to because it's like way easier.
Yeah. I think that there's a song by The Strokes, heart, and beats in heart in a cage, and it starts, I don't feel better when I'm fucking around, and I don't write better when I'm stuck in the ground. And, yeah, I think when you feel like shit, you don't feel like creating. Like that's, I don't, at least.
Yeah, me too. And I do want to talk about community because I feel like we've talked about this too, where being a part of the community is so important in terms of like being inspired and just being seen by people in general. But it's also very scary, like that initial jump into connecting and networking, especially when you're not like fully confident in the persona or you like just started out. So what steps did you make to get more involved with the music and art community, and how has that impacted your work?
Um, I I think I am naturally very extroverted and social, and um, you know, one of the things I think how I approached the music community and the art community was, uh, especially when I wasn't connected or plugged into it, was just what is out there. Like where, I want to go to all the shows. I want to like figure out who's playing music right now, and I want to, get to know what the sounds are in Memphis. And the same, I did kind of the same thing with like the art scene. It was just like I went to as many shows as I could find, and getting to know like, who runs what venues, um, and just starting conversations with people. I think it can be like scary to just ask someone a question because you might think like, oh, they're gonna think you're silly, or like you're asking like this empty, annoying question or whatever. But I think most people, especially artists, like they want to talk about the work that they're doing, and you learn so much from people just by asking them. And I think the Memphis art and creative scene is full of like really generous people that do want to share with you. And I've had very few like negative interactions like on the music in um, from the artists that I've met. And the it's about a year ago. Like I kind of made a post about this kind of recently. Like I was like journaling like how I was doing a lot of art on my own, but I didn't know anybody in the art scene, and I wanted to meet artists. And then I landed at Ugly Art Co. and I met so many people through BitchBopz, and like really creative, and just like it seemed like the scene just kind of exploded with like all kinds of like people, which I mean, I guess the thing that y'all have been doing is just kind of, it's like those creatives have been there around, but it's like creating a space where people can like meet each other and find each other, and versus being like siloed and like not connected.
Mm-hmm.
And that's so special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also feel like it's such a collaborative effort because, I mean, you can make an event and you can tell people it's this time and date, but it's the actual people that decide to get up and show up for an event or show up for a person. And that is truly been so inspiring to me. And I feel like it's probably always been there, but I think more recently, as we get older and we kind of set the standard for what we feel like the community should be like, I do think it's incredibly special that there is a community out there that is committed to like stepping up and showing out for the community.
Go Memphis.
Yeah, we're killing it, honestly. And that is something that I do like to highlight a lot because obviously our city is going through it right now, and there's a
Yeah.
lot of isolation, a lot of fear. And despite that, people are still continuing to create and show up for one another. And to me, that's just so radical. I feel like that's one of like the biggest forms of protest is to continue expressing joy and to continue creating despite the circumstances.
Yeah. I mean, when there's so much hate fuel and vitriol, getting your energy from joy does feel like a radical kind of
Mm-hmm.
move. And it feels a lot better.
Yeah. Do the people who are in your paintings know that they're being featured, or is it going to be a surprise?
I have some of the people like have known, kind of been following me and have like known. There's like some people who I think I'm gonna reach out to and be like, hey, there's a piece that has your likeness in it, and letting them know. And yeah, so for the most part, yeah, I want everyone, to kind of know about it, and it's definitely not like a secret that painting people from the scene
Yeah.
and stuff.
What do you want people to walk away feeling like after experiencing stage?
Yeah, I guess I want, if if the person viewing it is someone who is really familiar with the scene and has been around that environment a lot, to just be reminded like of that, like, oh yeah, that's, I know he gets it. And if someone is not familiar with that scene, to feel like they've been included in some spaces that maybe they're not used to being in, and a kind of feeling of being there, in that moment, whatever they're feeling with that. I think that's a big part of it for me.
Yeah. What are you most proud of about your work?
Oh. um, I am really excited about the kind of variety of places that I've been able to explore, and the kind of different dimensions. I didn't really know how to put together a solo show before I did this, and I've kind of just thrown everything at it, and I've been able to kind of step back, and as it's kind of gotten closer to the show, and go, oh yeah, I think I've given it the college try. Like it's come together. I'm happy with the different things that I've been able to explore, and how it's all come together. So um, yeah, I think there are different things I could say about individual pieces, but I think the whole is like, I'm just very very excited to see it myself, and for other people to see it all together. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's such a large body of work, like literally the sizes of the pieces, but also like the amount that you have done. And it's been so inspiring watching your process. And I'm just really excited for you to have this like spotlight and have this moment because it's so deserving. And I feel like you are so, supportive of everybody and so engaged in the scene. And it's really cool to be able to get to do that for you.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. What is it like being a part of Ugly?
It's been really cool to be at in Ugly, and it's kind of it feels very grassroots. And I know Anderson like imagined a collective, and this has been his dream for a while, and it's been really inspiring to kind of be a newcomer to the art scene, and to just kind of be embraced by that, and to find so many cool people who and to share in that. So I'm just kind of like, grateful for the arts ecosystem and the kind of the buzz of the scene right now. To kind of yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah. I've said it before and I'll say it a million times. I love Anderson. I am Anderson's biggest fan, and Hank. But no, I think the art scene, and not just in Memphis, but I think in general at times it can be gatekeepy, or it can be hard to enter into a space where, there might be like clout, or we're already well established or whatever. And I feel like Ugly is so great at being just authentic and so supportive of like a community, like you said, of like the grassroots, like we are here for one another. And I think that's so cool to see. And for him to like open up his space for, so many different events and so many different types of artists. I think Ugly is just like so transformative for the community. And I think Anderson is one of those people where he doesn't even recognize it because it's just like so instilled in him to be that kind of person. But like, yeah, it's really cool to be able to be friends with you and like be able to go to Ugly and feel like, because as a content creator and a graphic designer, sometimes like we've talked about, I don't always feel like I step into an identity of artist, or I'm like, oh, well, I'm not at this level, or I'm not at that level.
You should.
But when I'm at Ugly, I'm like, you know what? I feel like these are my people.
And I think the name kind of says it all in a way, just to attach the name Ugly to an art gallery just seems so unintuitive. And when I first started telling people, oh, I'm gonna start showing my work, and they're like, oh, where? And I'm like, Ugly Art Co. And then one of my friends was like, are you sure that's where you want to put your art? And I think it just kind of signals that, because I think a lot of people don't care about art because their version of art is like, or how they view it is that it's only for a certain type of person, and it kind of takes away some of the pretentiousness from it. We just slap the name Ugly on it. And that's the starting point.
Yeah. I was reading an article recently about how art has been primarily a form that people who are financially secure and have disposable income and time can actually do. Like, you see like Nepo babies and things like that, where it's like, well, they're allowed to be full-time artists because they don't have to worry about income and things like that. And anyway, the messaging of it was that, art should be accessible for everyone, and there shouldn't be any sort of barriers in terms of income or demographic. And yeah, I feel like Ugly and the Memphis art scene in general does a really great job of showcasing all different forms of art in a very like authentic way.
Yeah, and I'm all for, just democratizing like the access to art. And I think that's maybe one of the reasons, like, I think stage is trying to, celebrate the art scene and the art community, the creative community here. And I think Memphis gets like such a bad rep, and for lots of different reasons, but I think there's so much to love here, and there's so it's so much to share, and that everyone should be invited into that. And anybody who's like picking up a paintbrush or an instrument and making something with it, is like that takes so much courage, and it's so meaningful, no matter what stage you're at.
Hey! But yeah, I think too, like, I think at times being a creative and going out, performing at the same venues, or like seeing the same people, sometimes I feel like it could probably seem monotonous or mundane, or like, I'm just another person in the scene. But I think too, like another deep impact of seeing, a certain time where you were performing and it impacted somebody else enough to where they put it on, a canvas and they spent hours and hours, reflecting over
Yeah.
that scene. Like, I really do think that's so powerful of like immortalizing these moments, because I think while we're, in them and creating, we don't take the time to see like the impact and how important that is for the community as a whole.
And I think that's maybe been one of the special things about like getting to really live in some of those scenes is that it's made me reflect myself on like, oh, it's so cool that I get to spend time here and like to see these like cool concerts. And because sometimes especially if you're going to a lot of shows and stuff, it can be easy. Oh, I gotta go to this show too, and like I'm going here like that, and you're kind of always on the move, and it's kind of stopping and just like taking it in is I think also important as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like when you go to like special thing to next special thing to next special thing, it's like it kind of in your head minimizes like, oh, well, this is just what I do. And sometimes being able to stop and think about how special it is that we get to go from one incredible show and then from there we get to go to another incredible
Yeah,
show. Like,
yeah.
it's insane.
When you're scene girlies, but my hometown. I'm from Jackson, Tennessee, and like there's a music scene there, but there's not like a lot of like original music that's floating around. There are great songwriters that have come out of Jackson, and but a lot of times they leave and they go to Nashville or they go to Memphis, and there's not a really a space that's like really nurturing that in the way that there is here,
Mm.
and so knowing that that's not everywhere, like that it's actually really special, and that it can ebb and flow, and there could be like moments where it's like really popping off, and then other times where it kind of gets quieter and dies down, and there's not as much activity then. So just kind of appreciate what's here.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you.
Oh, I appreciate you too.
Okay, last question. Who are three artists, either musical or visual, that everyone should know and that you could not live without?
Oh gosh.
Only three.
Only three. This is a bombshell of a question. uh, okay. Um, on the art side, I feel like Alice Neal is a really big inspiration for me, and she's very very much like interested in doing portraits of people in a kind of like slice of life like fashion, and like unpretentious, and kind of people letting it all hang out and from the community. And I think Tom Waits has been a big inspiration for me, just like kind of also just he's interested in exploring kind of like these like kind of um kind of scenes from like working class life, and like just but imbuing it with this cool poetry that's kind of all over the place in I think music, let's see. I'll say Johnny Cash. I feel like Johnny Cash is like just like he's a hero. I mean, I know like we're in Elvis land, but I feel like he just I don't know. I think that's the thread of just like working class kind of heroes is kind of my jam.
For sure. Okay, so where can the people find Stage, and how long will it be running, and when is opening night?
So you can find Stage at Ugly Art Co. on December 6th. That'll be the opening. It'll be from 6 to 9, and then it'll stay open until December 20th, and that'll be the closing night. The Bluff City Liars will be performing that night. If you haven't seen them, they do improv comedy, and they're hilarious. And you should come out and see them too.
Yay, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for having me.
We'll see you later.
See you, lovers.